Okay, so in this video we're going to be looking at the Xbox One X and whether it's worth it for people with 1080p displays to consider getting it. I only have a 1080p display right now. I'm not planning on getting a 4K TV until later next year, mostly for the price drop and for when more TVs come out with HDMI 2.1, which will support the FreeSync. It's basically FreeSync. They call it variable refresh rate to help with screen tearing and stuff like that. So in this video, we're going to be looking at a few X-enhanced games that I recorded a little bit on my regular Xbox One and also on my Xbox One X. And these include Gears of War 4 and Rise of the Tomb Raider, both of which have multiple visual modes, Titanfall 2, and Halo 5. So let's get into it. Starting with Gears of War 4, we're going to look at the 4K mode. And as you can see, they're roughly the same frames. I'm not quite that good at video editing yet. The left is the Xbox One and the right is the Xbox One X. And here we are at 400%. And as you can see that the Xbox One X version has seriously cleared out a lot of the jaggies, even though you have to get that close to see it. But this gives you a good idea of what the super sampling does. You can also notice that the colors are a little bit more clear. There's not as much banding and stuff like that in there as well. You can really notice it by where the propeller meets the fire. And here we have a picture of the dude, the little gear. As you can see, again, it's not a whole lot clearer. However, you can see that on the right-hand side of his helmet, it's a bit smoother, and the colors look a bit clearer as well. And just real fast, showing off the 1080p 60 mode for the campaign. You can see on the right-hand side how much smoother it looks as it moves.
Move it, Gears! We're only gonna get one shot to extract those plans. Once we take down the comm towers, this entire base is cut off.
Now we're going to move on over to Rise of the Tomb Raider. And we're first going to look at the enhanced visuals mode. And what this mode says is that we'll output to 4K on 4K TVs. But it also has like higher texture quality, stuff like that, like from the PC version. So basically this is a checkerboard rendered 4K version. As you can see, I don't notice tons different, but maybe in a little bit we'll see a little bit better when it comes to some of the textures and everything else like that. I do have a couple other scenes that I'll be showing. So here we get a good look at the texture of the pillar. I'm not seeing too many differences between the Xbox One and the Xbox One X version personally, but that could just be my eyesight. And again, you know, this isn't at 4K, so there's not a whole lot of difference, I don't think. There may be some anti-aliasing going on that I'm not noticing, but we'll see. So here's a still shot of the pillar. Again, to me, it doesn't look too different. This is the enhanced visuals mode. Could just be my eyesight. I'm not sure. And here we have Lara coming up on the Prophet's Tomb. Again, I'm not seeing a ton of difference. Alright, so now we're going to look at the high frame rate mode. This is a 1080p mode, but at targeting 60 frames a second. I'm not exactly sure if it hits it all the time. I don't have the sorts of software that can, you know, do frame timing and the frame rate itself, but you can definitely see that it looks smoother, as you'll really see when we turn around in a second and look at the wind blowing against Lara. So this should look almost identical to the regular Xbox One, but just at a higher frame rate. And that's really all that the mode ever claimed to be doing anyway.
We just need to keep moving. Incredible.
Again, looking at the pillar, I don't see much difference at all, except for the frame rate, obviously. This is, again, targeting 60 frames a second, but it's only at 1080p. So I don't know if there were any other visual enhancements done to this mode besides the frame rate. And we're going to be coming up again on seeing the Prophet's Tomb for the first time, the actual tomb. And here it is in 60 frames per second, or close to it, whatever it's actually going to be. We can leave that to Digital Foundry to actually tell us what the frame rate is. And again, I don't see much difference at all. So now we're going to look at the native 4K mode. Again, I am not the world's best video editor. I'm a few frames off on these, as opposed to, you know, being like, oh my god, I know what I'm doing. I am self-taught. Alright, so here there actually is a difference in the mountains. You can see much better textures on the rocks. You can see them up, not really up close, but I had to make this screen much bigger to see it for myself. If you look at it in full screen, you should see it. So here we are. Let's see if there's anything. Can't really tell much on Lara, but again, the rocks in the distance. Now, on the pillar, I'm not seeing too much. I don't know if that's because this is like a cutscene or what. Even though it seems to be running in real time, because it does have a slightly higher frame rate than the Xbox One version. But we'll see. We'll see. And we're about to be coming upon the Prophet's Tomb for the first time. And again, it looks like you can see a little bit better detail off in the distance on the rocks and on the tomb itself. So there is definitely a better view, or a better look to the game in the native 4K mode, at least on a 1080p display. Up next is Titanfall 2, and you can see a little bit of enhancement here. The gloves seem to be a little bit clearer. The gun, the aliasing's a little bit better. However, what you'll really notice coming up soon is shadow quality seems to be a lot better. However, I should point out that Digital Foundry has found that this current patch seems to have an issue with the dynamic scaler, and there are times that this is actually dropping below 1440p, which is the PS4 Pro's resolution. So we'll see. But here you can definitely see the Xbox One X has much cleaner lines on the shadow there from BT's gun. The shadows are a little bit darker, that sort of stuff. So we're expecting another patch maybe from Respawn to maybe fix some of the dynamic resolution scalings, but still Titanfall 2 looks pretty good. The last game we're going to look at is Halo 5. Definitely there's a lot of improvements, actually. Cleaner textures, better anti-aliasing. You can see it here. There's better fog off in the distance on the Xbox One X version. It's definitely probably one of the best looking games to come out on the Xbox One X so far. And here you can see with the screenshot a nice view of those better textures and the better fog and everything else like that. Final verdict. Do you need to get yourself an Xbox One X if you only have a 1080p TV? That's going to be subjective. There are definitely some improvements on some of the games that we were able to see, including Rise of the Tomb Raider when at native 4K resolution, including Gears of War 4 when at native 4K resolution, but you really had to get close to see that improvement. Halo 5 definitely has a lot of improvements, and you can see some improvements on Titanfall 2. Now, for non-Xbox One X enhanced games, you may see a difference. You may see those with a variable resolution scaler hitting 1080p much more, or 900p if that's all they go to, like in the case of Battlefield 1 right now. You might also see some games that have some pretty bad frame rate drops not have quite as bad of a frame rate drop as they attempt to hit their target frame rates more easily. But I'm not going to say that definitely go out and buy the Xbox One X if you don't have a 4K TV. Because you're not going to get the most out of it. You're not going to get the HDR. You're not going to get the 4K resolution or the checkerboard upscaling or whatever is going to go on to get it to a 4K resolution. You will see some improvements. It might be worth it to you. It might not. If you're going to be waiting to get a 4K TV like myself when the prices come down, and or when more TVs support the variable refresh rate, then you could probably wait another year or so until you get one. But if you really want your current games to just look a little bit better and maybe play a little bit better if they can hit their target frame rates better, then sure, go ahead and get the Xbox One X. Anyway, I'm Sam. I hope that this has helped you decide on whether you should consider buying an Xbox One X if you only have a 1080p TV, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you for taking the time to watch my video. If you liked it, please hit the like button. If you didn't, hit the dislike button. Either way, I'm good. Also, if you enjoyed the video and wish to help support in making more, consider visiting my Patreon page located in the description below. And again, thank you very much.